welcome back to MGAM TV, and this week we are on games and we are joined by Rich.
Hello.
Hi Rich.
You alright there?
Hello.
Having fun?
Yeah man, right.
Fair enough. And we are kind of previewing, I wouldn't say we're reviewing, we're still going to give it a score because it's kind of a work in progress, but it's the epic mighty loot quest for treasure and gold and swords. Or the actual title is the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot.
Well,
correct.
Yay! 10th time it took for that to get that right. Rich, Bede, you're new and you're here. What did you think so far, I suppose?
For the people who don't know what the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot is about, it's effectively a isometric dungeon hack and slash romp, a bit like in the same vein as say Diablo and Torchlight, those sorts of games, and it's coupled with a tower building sim. So you build your own dungeons, and other people build their own dungeons, in which you've got your chest full of gold and other things, and the basic task is to go into other people's dungeons and rape them of loot. Take them back to your own castle where other people will also try and rape you of your loot.
Did you feel like you raped though?
I don't think at any point I did any raping. I think limping through dungeons is probably a better description of it. But
constantly and getting annoyed at other people's dungeons that are better than yours, even though you're on the same level as them.
Very much so.
And try and realise how, it's quite hard to explain. I think that
you've got to play it together.
You've got to play it to try and figure out what's going on. It's kind of building your own fortress and putting your own traps in. Obviously, the higher the level, the better the traps you can have. But you're doing that, and then obviously people, your friends or whoever, can come and attack your treasure or cave or castle
dungeon or whatever you want to call it.
I did like it. I thought it was. Joe, did you?
I was in two minds about it. It was good, and to say that it's still being developed, it was very good, but it was just far too repetitive for me.
I'll be honest, it's neither one or the other, and that's the problem with these sorts of games.
Yeah.
When they try and blend two different genres together, you get you either get an awesome epic game, or you get a bit of a failure of both. And I think it fell down because first of all, you've got the dungeon building sim, which is just not in depth enough.
No.
It kind of features in it.
I think it probably would be once you're at level 50, and then you've got 200
free
types of different turrets,
yeah.
and you can put in a blind imp with one leg who's green and the one that's red. But at the moment, all I did, I got, again, it's one of those, I probably played about 6 or 7 hours of it, and I think I only got up to level 10, something like that. And I still only had those little voodoo characters that annoy the Jesus out of me, because they keep rising little mother bastards off the ground after you've killed them once, and then they end up doing it again, and then you get wound up because you're like, fuck's sake, I could not do this. Then my mouse doesn't work, so I'm slamming the mouse on the bloody table, and then I'm pressing one key, and then the slash doesn't work. And the fact that you got like, I don't know, is it five attacks? Can you have four? Was it 4 or 5? It's about sure. That.
Yeah.
You can press one.
It's a handful.
Is that enough? I was like, swing your sword, punch them, and then tickle the face.
They've kind of gone along the same kind of line as Diablo, the new Diablo 3 did, where you get given your skills as you level up. There's no specific skill tree. You're not putting points into things like the old Diablo, like Torchlight does, where you build up your skill tree by deciding where you put your points. You're given the skills, and you choose which ones you want to take on that quest.
Yeah.
You arrange them on your bar, and you use them, and it works in Diablo. I'll be honest. It doesn't really work in this. They're just not exciting enough. The skills are just not cool enough.
I thought it was almost like a board game. You get it out, you play one round of it with the family, then it goes back in the cupboard for a year, and then you might get at it again. Exactly. I think if you could have free reign of everything, and everybody just have whatever you want, and you just don't have any level system, I think you could have some real fun with it, because you could spend a long time trying to really sort of like particularly get all the right sort of defence system. You know, you got 3 turrets at the door, and you can have a big monster in the first room, and you can really take your time to build something. They could have done it that way of levelling up, rather than you waiting so long to lock the next turret or the next style of monster just to try and put it in the room that you try. It kind of like, it's so little. It's like dishing little bits to you as you get further up. Another 10 hours you've played, here's another little monster with a stupid head. Another 10 hours to play, here's another little monster with a big leg.
Very repetitive for not enough reward.
Yeah.
Basically.
I like the comedy about it. I thought that was cracking.
Yeah.
The way it started and the way he kind of has this little bit of cheekiness to him, the guy, and then you're like, oh, brilliant, he's shit.
It's definitely not a serious game. It's
Yeah.
not. It's never designed to be taken, 100% seriously. But it's just you're solely reliant on other people creating interesting castles, and they just don't. Because if you don't reach the end of that castle in a certain time, you don't get to rape and pillage their loot.
Yeah.
Which is the whole point of it.
People don't make interesting castles. They make castles that are just there to slow you down.
Yeah.
Tar traps that just slow your walking pace. Great big that frigging frog.
Oh, he was a twat, isn't he?
The boss characters.
Snotty,
the boss
snot-face,
characters they put in.
Snottington. Or whatever it is.
Let's face it, in any game, Torchlight, Diablo, any of these sorts of games, the boss fights generally aren't fun because the control method doesn't allow for that kind of skill. You literally just click on stuff, and you sit there hammering him until it's time to use a potion, and then you hammer him again, and then you use another potion, and it's the same thing for every level. Now, it might later on along the line, it'll probably get a little bit more interesting, but again, the castles still look the same.
I think they're going to add stuff, but you're always going to be the same castle with something else. It's never going to be, unless you can really have some detail, as in you can paint yours pink or green and have whatever colour you want, and you can move things around a bit more than literally, like I was saying, do 10 hours, here's your reward, and it's one monster, and another 10 hours. But
a crafting system, maybe. These games are based on loot. Again, games like Diablo and stuff, the items you find, most of the time you're just trying to make your character look cool as well as be ace.
Well, exactly.
You want it to look awesome. You want great big spangly sword.
From the top down,
you don't get in this.
From the top down, you look like every other one. You're the same guy, because that's a really good thing I need to mention, because you need to sort of push through it. But you can replay. If somebody rapes your gold, sorry to keep using this term, shouldn't really say. If somebody pillages your gold, right? We'll scrap that. Someone pillages your gold, you can replay it and watch them do it, and literally it's like 2 fingers up to you, I've nicked all your gold, which is a cracking idea, but he looks exactly like the one who did it before, and there's no difference, is there? They should get to the end, they should go through with a big orange jacket and a big fro,
and
kill everybody, and then get to the end and then go.
And that's quite a letdown, because they do kind of make it out to you like you are making your own character, but you
look like all the others.
Really.
I mean, there's 3 at the moment, and there's a warrior type guy, there's the archer and the mage, and they might add some more. I think if they put a lot more time and effort into it, they could work with something, and if they listen to the people on the forum, it could be something good. But I do think it will only be something you pick up and then something you put down. You reckon?
Yeah.
Right, okay, Rich, give us your score. Give it a quick line about it and a score.
It's a free game at the end of the day, and it's in development, so I can't slag it off too much. It's definitely not as bad as some of the free-to-play games out there that are just dross, and the graphics are cheap. The whole thing just feels like the toy you get out of a Christmas cracker. It's just cheap. But this, it's well developed, it's well made. There's very few bugs for a game in development. So I've given it 63.
63.
Not bad.
Joe?
I gave it 57. It was good, you could play it, it was relatively enjoyable, but my main problem was the repetitiveness. It was just...
Yeah, you got annoyed a bit.
Yeah, you got bored. You couldn't. It's not one of those games that you can sit down and play 10 hours of in one go because you're that engrossed in it. It's just very...
Okay.
Slow.
Yeah. Well, I gave it 62. I think it's well, like I said, graphics are great, sounds great, it's all done well, it's done by some good designers and stuff. Listen to the people on the forums, add a few more bits and pieces, but it is kind of one of those pick up and play, put down and stick it in the drawer until next Christmas. So that gives us an MGAM total score of 61. So
It's fair.
That's fair. I'll give it that.
Fairly good.
Bit of
And
work on
it. It
it.
can only get better.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to get worse. Is
Well, that's
it?
the end of that section. But before, obviously, we move on to the next section. Here's me playing this game at Resd a few weeks back.
It's him! No!